Welcome everybody to TruExact Show. I'm here with Brian, Dan, the best dressed man in the DC land. He wears a suit and tie. I don't know why, but whatever. And then Eric, and we got our special guest tonight, someone we saw at Ren Thomas's benefit concert, and he performed there, and we just were in awe of how entertaining he was. We reached out to him, the one, the only, Googie. How you doing, buddy?
Great, man. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
No, it is our pleasure. You were extremely entertaining at the benefit, so we just wanted to talk to you, and we want to be enlightened by how you have your vibe. You're so eccentric and just entertaining. So before we get into all that stuff, because I know we're willing to ask 100 questions if you got the time. How did you get into music in general, whether it's rap or I know you got like a jazz feel in some of your stuff. So just get into your background, man.
My brother, I had an older brother, and he was like heavy in the hip hop scene. Like he was like a breakdancing, like graffiti head. So like naturally, I just like followed what he did. But then once I was like chilling with his friends and stuff, and they were playing like KRS and like a bunch of Mobb Deep stuff, and like once I heard that, I was just like, I don't know, I was just like in love with hip hop. So from there, I just started writing like things like here and there. When I said I was about like in high school, and then I started like kind of taking it seriously. Because I was just like rap little things, and all my friends were like, "Yo, you're kind of good, dude. Like, you should keep going." So I kept rapping, and then once I got into college is when I started a rap group with 3 other dudes, and we started like it was at a Hofstra in Long Island.
Nice,
and, yeah. We did a bunch of a bunch of openings for like MCs. We like opened for Talib, for like Lupe Fiasco.
Wow.
Stuff. Like we won all of the competitions and stuff. So we were clicking. It was going well. And then I guess we all graduated, and a few of them didn't want to do like music anymore. So I kind of just started doing solo stuff. And then from there, it was just like kind of on my own, just grinding out. But yeah.
That's pretty cutthroat, though, the music business in general. Let's be honest. Like, not a lot of people punch through and make it. So, like, did you blame him? Did you hold it against him? I mean, you just won competitions with Lupe, who I consider one of the best lyricists of all time. Yeah.
I was, at the time, I felt some type of way. But, like, looking back at it, like, I understand fully. Like, you know, it just is what it is. Like, you got to get your money. You got to just, like, there's just stability in everything else besides the music industry. So, like, if you really want it, then go ahead, go get it. But it's tough, you know. It's not like, it's not guaranteed. And it's not even like, even if you're doing like okay, it's not enough to like sustain like a house. But like you can't like buy a house with like indie rap money, you know. Like, that'll get you an Airbnb maybe, but like, I think, bro. Like,
trust me, Googie, I know this isn't my full-time job or anyone's here. Right. This is my hobby.
Right, yeah.
No, but going back to that, I always find it fascinating because for me and Brian up here, the 8 Mile boom is what got us into hip hop. I mean, being white, that's shocking, right? So
Eminem changed the game. It's
yeah. So like we walked out of that and was like, I think I can battle rap, but like we were horrible at it at first. And I feel like some of these people we talked to, like what you're just saying, it feels like someone like you just picked up a mic and was like, yeah, I'm winning competitions. Did you ever go through the horribleness of like just thinking it was good and the horrible bars you wrote? Like, I'll dispense this shit like Pez. Like, oh, God, that's horrible.
No, that's why. Like, so my version of that, I would say, is just like me, like, rapping about, like, stuff that I wasn't doing, or just like classic misogynistic, like, dumb shit, you know, like that I wasn't really about. And then so like once I started getting like a little more tenured, then I was like, I don't have to write about this, like just to prove that I'm like a rapper, you know?
Right.
So trying to get lost in that kind of like ideology and like philosophy, like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. And you kind of become that, and it's hard to break away from that kind of rap and then just being like, oh, I want to do something of like, I want to tell stories and I want to have shit of substance. And so it's like, it just becomes different, you know?
Yeah.
But,
how long did it take you to find like your own like flow and stuff too? Because like that's the other like really unique thing that you have, like compared to like anybody else that we've interviewed.
I would say just like I listen to Busta Rhymes, Ludacris, and like I mean Nas and everyone else really, but just like I like really listen to like Busta and I just repeated his shit over and over and over and over until I could rap as fast as he could. Like I could do like karaoke of his stuff, and then I was like, okay, let me start writing my own bars. and then I just like correlated those two. So that was that. But then like singing wise, I listened to mad R&B growing up. So like there's like, you know, this song structure in that wave that plays as well. And then just like overall just punchlines and stuff, like that was the era with like Fabulous and like that kind of stuff. So I was like, it's all that together.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you brought up Fab. I'm so happy you brought up Fab, just because to me he's one of the greatest rappers of all time, and I feel like he does not get his due, even though he's still relevant. I feel like as far as multis and punchlines, this dude is like one of the best of all time. And his girl songs, he never dumbed it down. That's the one main thing about his girl songs. Like he could put out "Can't Let You Go," could put out all these songs, and he had the punchlines and more. I don't want to get into Fab here, but I'll pass this to Eric.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you made that transition from like the misogynistic, you know, typical what people consider rap is to your style, was it received well at first? Because, you know, storytelling, kind of being funny and whatnot.
Right. I definitely, there was never a moment where like anyone was like, oh, you're not doing that old style, like you should keep doing that. It was more like if they liked it, then they were like, oh, I like when you like spit a lot of punchlines, but like this new stuff is like definitely like more like, I guess I don't want to say smarter, but just like more cohesive and like less about like me just rapping and more about making a solid album or just like a solid piece of work. So that's what people said from it, like as far as like, oh, I like that old Googie. Like it was more like, oh, I love your old stuff, but this new stuff is really like powerful, you know? Like, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've shown, like a lot of guests that we have on here, I've showed friends their music. And what do you think of this guy? You know, it's like, if it's like a rapper that goes hard, people are like, I like this. But every time I showed your music to somebody, men, women, whatnot, they just smile and say, I like this. And they go, I like this. What's his name? What, he's on Spotify? I'm like, yeah, here you go. Like people just, it's just a vibe, man. Like it's just a great vibe.
It's addicting. Yeah.
I try to manifest that like naturally, like, you know, when I'm walking, if you know me, if you like chill with me, if you kick it with me, like I'm the same person, which is like kind of interesting. I see a lot, like I've met a lot of MCs over time, and like what they say and how they act on the record is not necessarily how they're like super introverted, don't speak at all, like kind of dudes, but then like on a microphone they're like supermen. So it's like, it's interesting. For me, it was always like I tried to match the human with the actual artist. And then like, so if you chill with me, it's like, if you hear my music, you're like, this guy sounds like a cool dude. But if you chill with me, you're like, oh, you make music? I'm pretty sure I'm probably gonna smile if I listen to your music, just going off of, you know, opinion.
I could say from experience, I'm equally as cool in person, Googie, as I am on this show. No, but to touch on, and Eric's been pushing your stuff. I could validate or vouch for him. He is one of your biggest fans since the show.
If you need a manager.
If you wanted to hop off right now, we wouldn't blame you.
Now let me ask you this: have you ever been approached for record deals or anything at all? Because this is the thing. The reason why I asked that is not only with your ability to rap, like you're very good and you're entertaining, but just seeing you at the show, like your performance, your energy, it captivates the crowd. Like you're able to you stopped everyone and had them looking right at you like, okay, watch this guy, you know. And that's not something that's very common because everybody can rap, but that's the shit that sets you apart. And when I see something like that, I'm like, yo, how's this guy not signed and huge? Like,
yeah, that's always the question. Like if I'm like randomly doing a show in a place where no one knows me, they're like, how, like, were you signed? Like, how are you not signed? And so like, I guess back in the day, like earlier when it was like, I guess like circa 2005 in that time and space, that was big for people wanting to like be signed. Like, there was like labels looking for people, and it was like, but it was kind of the end of that. So, like, and initially I got a lot of offers, but I was young and I knew that I was like, this is perfect for them to manipulate and like take advantage of me. So I was super weary about anyone who came up to me. I was like, I just like the classic story. I was like, yo, I'm not gonna get diddied. I'm not gonna get like, you know what I mean, babied. You know, like I'm just like, I'm gonna sign this random ass contract and then be stuck with somebody forever. So there were opportunities. but none of them were as lucrative as like, you know, something like maybe like a Def Jam, like coming through and being like that. So from there, I started doing like independent shows and started booking my own stuff, started doing my own thing. So then that's kind of when that wave, like the Chance the Rapper wave came.
Yeah.
You can do this independently without any label, without anything. You just need to just go hard with a solid team. And so I enjoyed that kind of avenue as far as like what I was going to try to do. And that's where I chose to go. And like, honestly, I'd rather do anything independently full force than to be in the pocket of a label.
Yeah.
Right. You touch on that year too, which is very interesting. 05, 06. You can mark that, and we're going back here. Like, you could mark that as Papoose was the last one to sign that big deal, and people saw, like, it was like, what the fuck happened to Papoose?
Right.
And he kind of got, as Budden said in Who Killed Hip Hop, inking with Jive, then getting jived, or Papoose and Clips, or whatever he said. But like, yeah, we know our Budden here, Googie. So like, you look at that like area, and that's around the time you started to see, why do we need to sign here? That Papoose era. So that's And
I was like, yeah, that's a perfect example. Like the person, him and like Saigon who were like super popular at that time, got all this crazy contracts, like the craziest contracts we've ever seen, you know, like, and then just never drop an album.
Right.
It's like, so that's a thing. Like, then being on a label, I guess, like, if you're talking about money, then okay, cool, that's great. Get signed, get a bag, and, you know, enjoy it. But if you're talking about like longevity, if you want like music to come out, if you want like Papoose and, you know, Saigon do not make music anymore. Like, that's crazy. Like, those are monster MCs who can outspit anyone, and they're not making anything.
Well, thank God, though. I think Saigon just signed with Strange.
Right.
I think.
Do like an interview on Drink Champs. So
right.
I was like, I know his name's circulating again, but
right. So like, good for him. But God forbid, like, thank God, like someone like Tech. We've interviewed like a few Strange music artists actually, and like, thank God for Tech. I think he sees the light in the people, and like, he actually goes out of his way to get these guys some fucking notoriety.
Yeah, Tech Nine you're speaking of?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. He's like, you know, put like leg deep in the indie scene, and is always trying to help, you know, like any upcoming MC. If you can spit any bar, like you put two bars together that are solid, he'll fuck with you, you know? Like, and that's a beautiful thing, because a lot of motherfuckers won't.
I just, one more thing before I don't want to feel like I'm cutting people off, but like you said, like you started to rap in a way that you felt like rappers should rap when you started. I think everyone fell into that shit. Like, you're rapping about girls or the fucking guns, and like, it was weird being white kids from the suburbs, me and Brian, like saying like my fucking Glock 9. It's like, we don't do that shit.
Right. I was fucking playing with Pokemon cards. Right. You know, like, you're not a gangster, like, but I was just in it, you know, and I just like, I loved, like, you know, Cash Money and Juvenile and like everything, like just, and especially being in the city area, like, there's no guns out here, you know, like, it's like, I mean, in like New York there is, but like in Jersey for the most part, it's like, it's all rural towns that got like people who got like, you know, gun licenses. It's not like, like Uzis on the street, like going off. I gotta like duck for cover all day. Like, it was just different, but like, that's just what rap is.
Right.
And if you don't know, you know, what it's really like, what it means.
Well, and it's interesting because Ransom recently released a bunch of stuff, director's cut and all that, and he actually said, like, I actually wrote it because you said this, trying to find out who you are, just eliminate who you're not. And I find that, like, so fucking whimsical, man. Like, just, you spend all this time, like, figuring out who you are, and, like, how about you start with just, like, knocking out who you're not, you know? So, like, it makes so much sense with what you're saying, man.
It makes it easier to write. Because you're just like there's so many times where I like anything that is a gun will rhyme with the preceding bar. So I could say any name one gun, and right there I can do something that's there. But like, it's cheat, like it's a cheat code. It's like easy. It's like, yes, I'm not gonna rap about that, and I'll kind of sound hard. And if you don't know me, then you'll respect it in some way, I guess. But, you know, like, I don't know. It's just people who go out of, you know, the pocket impress me more than anyone who stayed in and did it well. Like, even if, you know, the best of them who are just doing, like, I'd say like a Rock Marciano or like the Griselda cats, like, they're amazing, but they're not anything that I haven't heard before.
Right.
It's not like that's like super, super, super original. It just is gangster shit.
Right.
Certified, and it's done well.
And I think it's a play on what the game's been missing in a sense.
Right.
Like there hasn't been anyone like a Benny the Butcher or Conway in a long time.
It's coming full circle. That's the thing.
Right. That's broken through.
It started there, and then we went to the Kid Cudi's, the Tekashi 6ix9ine, Lil Pump, and all them, and now it's coming back around.
Like, those the musical, those are the super like harmonizing musical aspect of hip hop, like of popular hip hop, and then so now it's like literally coming together to the point where like the Griselda team is like definitively in the pocket right now. Like they're hip hop, like they're popular gangster hip hop, and it's transcending. Like besides, like it'll never cross over mainstream.
Right.
But it's doing as well as it can for what it is, you know. Like
you got and it's
come back. T-Pain.
Yeah, I would love T-Pain to come back.
Absolutely,
that dude is magical.
Yes, he is. Yo, have you ever seen him sing straight up without any auto tune or anything?
He did like Unplugged.
Yo, he's crazy talented. Like,
hey, bro, and he can rap. He can
spit. Yeah.
His spit is that. He has this one song on like the first album. It's like it's called like Carnival or like Circus, and he's just like double timing, and it's like like my boy put me onto it. It's like, you ever heard T-Pain spit? I was like, nah, bro, this guy can't rap. And I heard that shit. I was like, yo, this dude's a problem, bro. Like, wow, impressive. Like,
Googie, we're older dudes in general, like, and we came up with, like, you had to prove yourself in a cipher and stuff. And I always ask this, and I know people always give the same response, the politically correct response. If you want to do that, fine. I'm not judging, but if you don't, I'm all for it. Now, like, when we had to grow up and you were rapping in fucking parties and ciphers.
Oh, you said you rapped. If you came out and you were like, yo,
you had to be real. You had to prove it, right? Yeah. Like, you had to spit a 16. Like, and I feel like a lot of these dudes today don't even know what a cipher is or whatnot. The ones who broke through the mainstream. Does that at all bother you? Like, being like someone who came up and like had to prove themselves, and some fucking little cheese ball just makes it.
There's just a level of it, like, I could look at it both ways. I could look at it like, okay, one, I'm like bitter and like, fuck these little kids who don't know anything about history. Because I did my homework. Like, I was studying like MCs, like albums full through and through, like deep cuts, going in, like understanding rap styles and all this shit, and like being encompassed by it, as opposed to just like being encompassed by the culture that's around me. Like, say I live in the hood, right? I'm gonna love hip hop and I'm gonna love whatever I'm hearing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's like super bars, like bar worthy shit. Like, if I hear Little Uzi Vert and all my homies are knocking a Little Uzi Vert, this is the god right now, you know? Like, so it's a different feeling. For me, it was legit. You had to pay dues. You had to, you know, listen to all the shit. You had to know, you know, your home. You had to know your history. You had to know, you know, different aspects of hip hop. And then you start getting into like, okay, this is, you know, my shit. But like, I'm not gonna get mad at like, you know, people coming up regardless of how they did. I just know what is a student of hip hop and what is like certified hip hop to me, and what is just, you know, like hip hop music in the grand scheme of popular music, like as a genre that's crossed over as the greatest, you know, music genre out now, you know. So there comes that part of it. Like, it's not only like this underground level of music anymore. It's not like the streets. It's not like this visceral feeling as much as it used to be. Now there's levels of, you know, bubblegum shit that's popping. So it's playing in it, you know what I mean? Like, and so you got to play, like, just because there's bubblegum to it doesn't mean that it's trash necessarily, you know?
Yeah. I think more of what Scott is getting at is like, he feels, and I kind of agree with him. It's more like, we want the people like, let's say, a Joe Budden to be more recognized for his music rather than his personality. Like he's got bars, and it's like, if you listen to the songs that he makes, you're like, yo, how is this not crossing over to the mainstream? But then you also got to remember that the mainstream is not about education. It's not about teaching history. It's about whatever's stupid right now, and can we get people to dance to it, and like we'll get a new one next week.
Cash grab. You know, it's mostly what is gonna dance with. But you have certain artists who can break through and cross over, like Kendrick, like a J. Cole, that they're spitting substance. You know, they're doing some solid shit for hip hop, and they're making money on it at the same time. They're not making as much money as a Drake, but you know.
But you said certain artists could break through. You being experienced and like dealing with some people, why can't they break through? Like I put this on. I know I sound like a broken record, Googie, but like I put this on a lot of people in charge. Like if the DJs wanted to break them through, they can. Right? Like, why is it so difficult? Like, is it advertisements, money involved?
I think it's an amalgam of all that. Like, it's like literally like some people are just assholes and they're not easy to work with. You know,
Okay.
like this is that level. Like, so if you start working with people, like people are divas, and then they're like, nah, you don't want to work. Like, no matter how dope they are, it's like I don't want to work with this person. So Lupe got into a lot of trouble,
Right?
Because, you know, he was just like, not that he was a diva, but he was just like hard to work with. And that's just what it was. So he's not going to get on the same level as someone who's like playing the game. Like Tekashi just played the game. You know what I mean? He was like, I'm just going to do everything you want me to do. Just tell me what it is. I will do it. Yes, I'll put a woman's face on me. I'll put a woman's body, superimpose the whole thing. Let's do whatever you need to do. I'll get hit in the face by a beach ball, whatever. And I'll do it. And other people won't. And so like, it's that mixed with like, you know, marketing teams and, you know, the actual substance. Like if you got one song, but if you got 5 songs, you know, you might have rocked with that one artist who got the 5 as opposed to the one, you know, who has that one shebang.
That's kind of like the metaphor of like selling your soul.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing of like, are you going to compromise your morals, your values in order to get paid? And some people are more willing to do it.
Right, and that's the thing about morals, ethics, and values, that it's all a personal, you know, like opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like if it's a consensus, like 6 people be like, "Yo, you rap like that, you ain't real hip hop." We all agree, but that's just not the truth of the matter. Like, you know,
Right.
like,
I just want to go on the record and say I don't even consider myself like one of these students of hip hop. After speaking to a lot of the people we've had on, I realize how much more you guys know than me. I kind of fell into a wormhole. I liked like 5 artists and only focused on them. But like I didn't want to get serious here, Googie. You're one of the funnest people we've ever fucking had on. So like I you know, let's have some fun here. Like Dan, Eric, come on, get some questions.
So Googie, how did the name come up to
There you
get
go.
Googie?
yeah, right? So my mom, you know, straight up, like when I was born, like I got the same name as my dad. So my mom just like to differentiate. She just always called me Googie, and then like over time, people in my town heard that, and so they were like, "Yo, good." They used to like poke fun at me, and I'd be like, "I fucking hate this name." And then once I started doing like, I was like D Nice back in the day, like rapping wise, but that's like every person with the letter D in his name is D Nice that raps.
Yeah.
So like I had this pivot, and I was like, "Oh, let me just the name that I've always had." And I knew like no one would have it. I knew everyone would be like, "That's a weird name." And then I knew I'd like perform that way, and then people would be like, "This dude was just weird all together." Like there's just that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
that's
just-
about it.
But it fits though. It's so memorable because somebody watches you and like after seeing you perform, like I will literally never forget your name. I immediately see after the performance, I go, I want to hear everything this dude has done.
Yeah.
bro.
Deeponomics had us rolling. We like, I go deep, then a question, answered by another question. Like we were dying. How did you come up with that? Like,
Yeah,
what?
that's so
I mean, your music is so unique. So it's like, how do you just say, I'm going to write a song about things that are deep, and then boom, you just, you know?
I had a song. I think one of the first ones I did like that was song. It's called Birds, and yes, it's about birds. And it was just like, and it's solid. It was one of my first like performance tracks that like everyone loved and was like, this is sick. Like, and so I always knew like, and also like MCs, they'll have like a one song on their album that is just like this one thing that's like super clever. And so I always wanted to do one of those songs. So Birds was that. I have a few other ones. But then Deeponomics was like, when I was writing that album, I was like, I watched this Def Poetry Jam And this is like, I'll tell y'all because this is the first time anyone really knows this. Like, I got this
exclusive.
Max, this dude on Def Poetry Jam. I forget this poet's name, but he said like, I'm deep. He's like, I'm so deep that the number 7 is really the number 6, and I'm so deep. And he did it like he just kept going, and it was like so many fire things. And this was years ago. It was like 10 years ago, and I was just like rewatching it for some. I'm like, yo, I should do my version of that. So shout out to that dude who like sparked the seed, but
Awesome.
I can't take full responsibility of being like, yeah, I just came up with it, dude. I was just like under a, like a fucking sycamore tree smoking a J, and I'm just like, I'm so deep. I should write a song about like, nah, I just
Picture Googie watching that. I could go deeper than this.
I could go deeper. I could go deeper for sure.
pretty much what I did. So
Googie, I want to ask though, like, when did you get to the point? Because we've all discussed this. Like, you just have so much fun being up there. Like, when did you take it? Kind of. I know, Brian. You mentioned like an Andre 3000 type. Like, it's fun. Like, when did you get to the point? Like, enough. Let me just entertain.
right.
Like, where does that come from?
No, it's funny because I used to just be like just straight up rap and like get up on stage. I stood in the middle of it, like grabbed the microphone and I just rapped my heart out. And with like, everyone was always like, yo, that was dope. But then I'd see like someone running back and forth who was dope, who was like running back and forth, doing shit with the crowd, rocking out, doing wild shit. And I was like, damn, like that person, regardless of I fucking outspit that person, they're out entertaining me right now. And like, that's was something I couldn't do. So like, not couldn't do, but I just wasn't like, savvy yet. And then, so I would always be nice at performing, but just like doing shit. And then I started with another group, and they were like, kind of like, they were like punk. So they would just be throwing themselves off stage, body slams, DDTs, like a wrestling match while they're rapping. And I was like, this shit is entertaining. So then I started rocking with them. And so I was like, you're not going to DDT me, but I'll throw an elbow here and there, I'll do some shit. So then it was like, I see what entertainment is, and I see what emceeing is. And I know how to bring them both together now. And so it used to be more of like a, like a WWF kind of like fight sequence kind of shit happening. But then I was like, all right, how do I just like do it with my style? Because I'm not like, that's not my steez. Like, with the team, with the it was like the Karma Kids. With that, we were like a super punk hip hop vibe. But if I'm doing it solo, like I try to match that energy. So I'll run up and down. I'll do like funny shit. I try to do like I also worked at a comedy club for a long time. So like I'll do like I always have like one-liners ready to go between songs just to keep shit in general. Just like I know how good that is like to hold crowds. Like once you do a song and someone's not really necessarily feeling it that much, they're gonna go outside, smoke a bogey, smoke a J, like they're gonna be like whatever. But if you got like a little comedy, so you got some shit happening in the middle of it, they're like, oh, I'll at least stay for the comedy set. Like,
okay.
What's your favorite punchline?
I usually do shout outs, and I'll be like, yo, I want to give a shout out. And I'll be like, let me give a shout out to like indoor rock climbing gyms. I never made it to one, but I feel like I believe in myself, and I'll make it. One day I'll make it to those little fruity pebbles on the walls.
You ever do comedy? Brian up here he does comedy, so like right. I want to just like go into that a bit. Did you ever do it? Because I think you'd be good at it.
No, I because I've worked there for so long, I already know like the game plan. But it was funny. My manager was like a big fan of my music, and he was a comedian as well. And he was always like, I'd always be like, yo, you know what? I want to go up and do a 5. Like, I want to go up and do the open mic. He's like, nah, bro, there's already too many comedians. You'll be all right. Stick to rap. I'm like, because if he was like, yo, I think I want to rap, I'd be like, nah, bro, just stick to comedy. Like, it is what it is. But like, as a human, I would always be like, yo, do what you want to do and feel what you want to feel, because you might be the next motherfucking, Richard Pryor. Like, it is what it is. So, like, there's a level of it. I've always loved comedy. I've always tried to throw comedy in my rap shit just to keep it, keep it whimsical and shit. But yeah, maybe one day I'll do a fucking open mic or a top 5 somewhere.
I have an idea, Brian. You open up with a comedy skit during Googie's next show.
Right, that's it. No, I've done a bunch of variety shows like that.
Yeah.
Where like eclectic singer, comedian, hip hop, punk band, metal band,
Yo, I'll tell you what. This is how you know if you're truly funny. Do a comedy show at a restaurant where people are not expecting a comedy show.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
I got suckered into that one time. They were like, "Oh, I got a spot for you." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." It was on a Friday night. I go out there. I'm like, I walk into the place. It's a restaurant, and I'm like, "This is fucking weird," right? I'm looking around, and I'm like, "All right, let me go and check it out." And I see them setting up just a mic in a corner, and I was like, "So wait a minute, this is the place? This is the show?" Yeah. And I was like, "So how long you want me to do?" "Oh, like 7 minutes, whatever." And I was like, "Wait, do they know that a comedy show's happened?" And they're like,
So
"Nah."
mad.
The word.
I'd be so mad if I was eating dinner and I didn't know that there's a comedy show. I
Some
would
guy's
boo you.
trying to propose to his girl, and it's like, this thing on?
Right.
I would boo you even if I found you funny. That's how mad I'd be.
It's tough, yo. Like comedy's, bro. At least like that's why I always do my comedy set between my like I have like a jazz band as well, and they're called Quarter Water. And so like I'll always do like a cool 2-minute little set with like comedy set about things. But even if I bomb, I'm like, well, here comes some music, and it's and I'm like, like I'm Superman again. But like if I just was bombed, like what was I gonna do? Like just gonna eat shit and keep it moving. Like that shit's gangster, bro. Like
I've been there. It's horrible.
Well, when people are about to bite into a steak and you ask, "Hey, you know what Oksana Bayul and Tanya Harding have in common?" They both beat Nancy Kerrigan. And they're just looking at you like, "What the fuck?"
Who is this guy? Who gave him a mic?
This is my first night out in like 2 weeks. Got this fucking asshole.
This dickhead's up here talking about his figure skating career. Jokes.
That's how I felt at that show that we had the fundraiser. There was this elderly couple in the front of
yeah.
I go
and
deep.
I was like, dude, I'm gonna have to and once my song came on, the wife instantly was like, and I was like, oh my god, and then I used that as I was like, I need to break them. If I get them, then it's all good. Everyone else is gonna fuck with this, but I need to get them. And then after 2 songs, she was like,
yeah, she was rocking to it.
She was like,
Yelling at her. I go deep.
Yeah. We sat behind her, so we sung the whole time. I was like, why are they here? And then I went to the bathroom like a couple hours later. She had to get thrown in the car. She was so trashed she couldn't stand up. She was gone. She
was raging.
Yeah,
God.
Nah, it was
Googie, the quarter water is that just a reference on the quarter water?
Yeah. That's where we're from. That's what we're named after.
Yep. You guys know what that is. Come on. Quarter waters? The fucking, you go to 7-Eleven?
Oh, yes.
The little barrels you poke a hole in with the tinfoil up top.
7,000 grams of sugar and this small thing.
Straight sugar and water and food coloring.
Googie, I just want to touch on any other influences other than hip hop.
I was gonna ask
I know you have a lot of. Eric asked the question. Sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna ask literally same exact question. No, because you said Busta Rhymes and whatnot. Is there and you said, I think someone mentioned jazz. Scott mentioned jazz. Is there any other genres that you kind of vibe with your music as well?
Freestyle shit like 90s, like Stevie B, I Want to Be the One, like that kind of because my brother was like a b-boy, so breakdancing, 90s freestyle and breakdancing are one and the same. So I listen to a lot of that, and I still do to this day. I listen to a lot of my dad was a big doo-wop guy. So he's like,
can I just ask you? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Doo-wop, right? I will die on this hill, and I've died before. Four tops.
Like the third time.
Four tops.
Right.
Four tops are better than the Temptations. It's just a fact.
A fact? That is a crazy
Oh,
statement.
get him,
It's
Googie, get
true,
him.
Googie. And then I will take the Supremes over both of them.
Look, My Girl is better than any song.
I disagree. Okay, you go through their catalog, Googie. Baby, I Need Your Lovin' is
That's
the
a
Four
great
Tops.
song.
Sugar Pie Honey Punch is the Four Tops, right? And then we got oh man, I'm losing it. But like I normally have enough to defend the Four Tops.
Right.
So, Bernadette is the Four Tops.
I'm not sure, but it's. I would say it's arguable.
Arguable. Thank you. Okay, arguable. It's arguable. Okay.
Argument.
All art is subjective.
Right. So if we lead with that, then yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
All right, go on with
In your
Dua.
opinion, you're right.
Yeah. It's like I don't know. It's like I'm trying to think of how you can correlate that to hip hop.
No, go on with your doo-wop thing. Your dad was in a doo-wop. What about your mom?
Yeah, she was more like, she's like, I'm Puerto Rican, Cuban, and black. My dad was black, my mom's Puerto Rican and Cuban. So she was into like a lot of salsa, a lot of like, merengue, bachata. And like she loves like plays. So like she'll have like fucking In the Heights or like fucking Hamilton playing in like the background while she's cleaning shit. Like she loves all that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. So it really was my brother who was just like, this is what I listen to. This is what you're going to listen to. And
nice.
And then I made my own kind of shit here and there. Like I didn't listen to rock music in general. Like besides like my dad would play shit here and there, people around the radio. But I didn't listen to rock music until like I was a senior in high school. And I listened to like Block Party, which is a group from England.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they're nasty. Like they're my favorite band, and they're the reason why I listen to other genres of music. So they like hold up like a near place in my heart. But like they just did dope shit, and my homegirl was just like, listen to the drums, because I was like, turn this rock shit off. I ain't trying to hear this shit. She's like, she's like, listen to the drums, and I like the Block Party's original drummer is like phenomenal. So and it reminded me of hip hop. So I was like, yo, let me find other cats that were like that. So that's when like, rock music started to get into, then I started getting the Beatles and the whole, go backwards in time.
Back, yeah. I have to say, I love when Dan's on the show, right? Because Dan really is new to hip hop, and we always find a connection and correlation between the people we have on.
Right.
So like it kind of like it expands your mind, Dan, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever think he'd be into the same rock band from England that you would be?
No. They're like I listen to them all the time. Like
I saw them in Central Park last year, and it was like the first time I got to see them, and it was just like levels. Like I was like, back in high school again. I was like, bro, this is so fucking fire. Like I'm so happy. You know what I mean?
It's very similar to you. It's just like a very high energy, like very like.
Yeah, the writing is phenomenal. Yeah. Like writing is beyond shit. Like super high energy. They use drum machines. They're not just like solely just drum. Like they use machines for shit. So it's like hip hop is definitely influenced in there. So it's like it was an easier transition than like if I was just gonna listen to like the Strokes, you know what I mean, or like something like that. I'd just be like, this is definitively that, and hip hop is this. It's like this is kind of hip hop too,
Nothing would have made me happier than if Googie said last year I saw him live and I knocked a white kid out. Bumped into me and it was Dan who had a black eye. It would have been the best story of all.
He was wearing a suit. I don't know why he was wearing a suit, but that's why I punched him. I was showing one of my friends some of your music and whatnot, and we were listening to Refresh, and he actually asked if you were Hispanic because he said your Spanish was very well. Are you fluent?
Yeah, I understand it like fluently, but I always had a problem just because I didn't like speaking in the household. Yeah. But I lived also in a very densely populated Hispanic area. Okay. So naturally, like I'm just gonna say things like in my accent is good. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know it as much as like someone who's like fluent, I can't speak it like that. Like, but I know how to say words. So that's why like if I say things, they'll be like, this dude's definitely Hispanic. Like,
because he's like, dude, because he speaks Spanish, he's Peruvian. Right. He's like that. That's very good Spanish. It's
like aguacate and like and shit. Like that's how a Colombian would say it. Like,
I wish I could repeat it, but those bars are in my head.
Googie, I'll pass it along one last time before you get to the stuff you have coming out. If anyone's got any last questions, go for it.
Just what's next? Like, what's
Yeah,
your?
what's
I mean,
next? What's coming
like the
out?
pandemic has kind of thrown everybody, you know, who's
Right.
entertaining, is kind of screwed everybody up. But like, what's your plan?
I was actually on tour when the pandemic hit, like when they're shutting everything down, like
Okay.
that March. It was like Wednesday. No, it was like, yeah, Wednesday is when shit was like, yo, it's going to Sunday, everything shut down. Like Wednesday, I was in Detroit, like, and I had like 5 more shows to go, and I like missed my flight to Milwaukee because I got shit faced in Detroit, and I was like, like I just blew it, and then I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm going back home, and which was good because then everything was like kind of crazy. So like that was a thing. Like I was touring consistently prior to COVID. Now it gives me time to just think about like all of just like albums and stuff. And I also started school a year before. So I've been just like heavy studying history. So it's been like a blessing as far as like just me being stuck at home. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just do a bunch of papers and just be chilling. Music wise, I feel like the Quarter Water, like the jazz band, we're doing a lot of things right now. We've done a couple shows. But as far as me doing solo stuff, I haven't been thinking about it too much. I've been really just thinking about school. Quarter Water is my music time. And once school's over, like this semester, I'll probably drop another album by the end of the year, hopefully, if not the beginning. But I'm just focusing on that right now. Just trying to get I've thought about rap for like 20 years of my life. Like, it's time to put some big boy pants on and think about buying a house or some shit. Like,
what do you plan on doing with your degree?
I want to be a professor because then I have the leniency to tour summer, winter break.
Oh yeah,
break.
Actually, genius.
And then, there's like, I forgot what I think. I want to say it's Metallica, but like the drummer Metallica, or one of the like real prominent rock bands of time, was a history professor, and they would build the tour around his school schedule. And so I was like, that's fucking sick. I can still get fucking, a salary and still tour and just wild out. And now I have all the money to do whatever I want. Like, dude, that's
if I'm Metallica, would I drop that drummer so fucking?
Because of his genius, we're shipping this guy out. Bring the fucking next guy in. Throw him in the bathroom. Bring the next guy in.
Googie, we have a final segment we do, which we have a lot of fun with. It's called Gun to Your Head, okay? And what we do is we each ask 2 questions, and it's got some wordplay involved. It's not your typical Simpsons, Family Guy, which you probably would choose Simpsons, but like it's not Yankees, Mets. It's some wordplay since we started as a hip-hop podcast. So we each ask 2 questions. You have to answer them, but pick a winner at the end with your favorite question. You ready for this?
All right.
Then it's Eric's your number 1 fan. I'm going to say that he goes first.
All right. Okay. Would you rather work at Moe's and have to yell, "Welcome to Moe's" when people walk in, or sell Hess trucks and have to say, "They're back and they're better than ever"?
Welcome to Moe's. Landslide victory.
Would you rather only eat pasta rigatoni or drive around, or you can only get around by driving a rig with a guy named Tony?
Oh man, I feel like pasta rigatoni, because I can do things with pasta rigatoni. If that dude Tony's an asshole, my life is miserable.
Done.
Straight up.
All right, I'll go next here. All right. Damn, that's tough. Eric, good job.
Those are good.
Okay, would you rather have a job building rocket ships or shipping rockets?
Shipping rockets or building rocket ships? I feel like shipping rocket ships. I mean, building is like a lot of schooling. The shipping of them, you just got to find like the right pocket. Like, your dad's like the owner of this one warehouse, and you're just chilling and like smoking J's. You're not smoking J's if you're building rocket ships.
Right. I would not want my guy shipping rockets to be high either, but
maybe an edible.
No, you wouldn't know. If the rocket ship doesn't work, that dude was high. Killed everything.
All right, last one. This is a three-parter here. Would you rather for a year eat candy corn, eat can of corn, or refer to everything easy as, hey, that's a can of corn?
100% can of corn. I already do that naturally. Like my dad always said that shit. So we'll just run with the can of corn.
Okay, sounds good. Brian, you're up.
All right. Would you rather be a con artist or a pro tester?
I'm an artist.
All right.
There's no
Would you
protest. I'm a con artist.
Would you rather never eat Reese's peanut butter cups again or eat a cup of peanut butter with a guy named Reese every day?
Tony and Reese.
You're guys, man.
You
You're
can
guys.
drive around with Tony in the rig
With
and
eating peanut butter.
you with a cup of peanut butter.
Building rockets.
Building rock.
Building rockets. I'm gonna go with the second. I'm gonna go with the spoon of peanut butter.
Yeah, you're up.
All right. Only be able to watch Boogie Nights for the rest of your life, or always have boogies in your nose for the rest of your life.
I'm always gonna have boogies in my nose, so I'm gonna do that. Because if I watch another 3 times,
Dan, I think you could have went a different route with
Yeah,
that.
there's so much you could have done with that.
there's so much you could do.
That one could have been so good, man.
Yeah.
Go on.
But
All
in
right.
typical Dan fashion,
Be bit by Pitbull at his concert, or be bit by a pit bull.
you could sue Pitbull if he bit you.
Yeah, exactly. I might just, I'm definitely Pitbull at the concert.
Yeah. This is
All right,
real
Googie,
fun.
what was your favorite question? No pressure.
The two with the names.
You gotta pick one, Reese or Tony.
So can I just hear the 2 with the names again?
Wow, we've never had this before.
We've never had a repeat. Okay. Would you rather only eat pasta rigatoni, or you only get around by driving a rig with a guy named Tony?
Or
Or would you rather never eat Reese's peanut butter cups again or eat a cup of peanut butter with a guy named Reese every day?
you gotta go with my boy Reese. Yo.
Damn it.
Reese.
Oh, I'm shutting down my fan club.
Rigatoni was out. I blew it. Yeah, no.
Googie, we actually knew we've been talking about the gun to your head segment with you, and we thought it would be phenomenal, and it lived up to its expectations.
Yeah.
So we're very happy about that. Googie, thanks for coming on, man. This was fucking fun. It literally lived up to everything we thought it would be. You're a cool dude. I hope we keep in touch. I would love to have you on to just bullshit sometime.
Dude, I'm down. Man. We ain't doing shit. I could talk shit forever, man.
Great. So once again, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, brother.